AMD stock was up 10% last week. It's up 22% in the last month, 76% in the last 3 months, and 30% in the last 6 months. So AMD stock is looking bullish. It does look as if it wants to move higher, and you haven't missed out. I'm going to share today a second trade entry on this trending stock with a 45% upside to that target of 227. Let's take a look. I'd like to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/DavidB for the 5 best stocks to buy now. Use my special link to get $200 off their epic annual subscription. Now, if you find value in my analysis of AMD stock today or other stocks on my channel, you may also find value in my email newsletter. If you subscribe, I'll share with you professional trading tips to help you make more profits trading stocks. Link in the description below. Check it out. So AMD stock was up 10% last week. It's up 22% in the last month, and it's looking bullish. You can see on screen, it's recently broken a downtrend line after finding support here at $76. So it's looking really bullish. Now, you may already be in this stock. I covered this stock in a few previous videos and with some trade setup and entry rules. So have a look on my channel for previous videos about this trade. Perhaps you did enter above this peak here on confirmation about $130 on this marker here. I'm going to offer some tips on trade management at the end of the video, so stick around for that. But you might be thinking, have I missed the boat with AMD? I don't think so. It's still looking bullish, it's still moving up, and I think it is looking like it's going to move towards this target of 227 over the short to medium term. And there is an entry here based on Dow theory last week. You can see on screen on the weekly chart, I've marked up those 2 orange lines, which confirm 2 entry triggers using Dow theory for AMD. So you can see one of the entries was above this peak here, around 122, and one other entry was above this peak here at around about 148. So going back to this original entry, which I covered in a few previous videos, effectively what we've got here is AMD trending down, finding support at $76. It has moved up and broken that trend line to create this first peak here. And there was a little bit of selling pressure and sellers took the price down to $107. It closed at 110 for the week of 19th of May, before gradually then buyers came back in and started edging the stock back up. It did break through the peak in this week here on the 9th of June for that week, but it wasn't until this week here, week commencing 16th of June, did price trade above that peak and then close for the week above that key level. You can see here it closed at 128 during this week. So you could have entered next week on that rule on confirmation, and that would got you in the trade at 130. Another price peak was created about 4 weeks ago during this week here, 23rd of June. So you could have used this as a trigger. And you can see here there was some selling pressure the week after this peak. Buyers came back in, didn't quite nudge above that peak during this week, the 7th of July. But last week, very strong bullish week for AMD. Price traded up and it closed last week at 157, smashing this peak here of this week of 23rd of June. So that was your entry trigger that the buyers are in control. It took out this price peak here and closed well above that price level. So if you want to enter this trade and buy AMD, there's an entry rule here to buy the stock next Monday morning on market open, buying on confirmation, and you should get in around about 157. So if you do get filled at 157 and you set a 15% stop loss corresponding to this price trough down here, and then target the 227 price peak corresponding to this level over here, you've got a potential upside of around 45%, and with that stop loss, a risk to reward of 2.98, so call it 3. So a good solid trade setup. So if you want to get into AMD stock, this would be a great entry next Monday morning. Now you can see on screen I've marked up the previous entry for AMD stock, which was around about $130 based on Dow theory. So with this trade setup, we had an entry of 130, a stop of 115, and initial take profit of 187 up here, which is this price peak here. Potentially, if it trades through there, you could also target 227, but I think with potential resistance around here, it could be a time to take some profit off the table, perhaps 50%, leave the rest in to move to 227 or sell all, depending on your risk appetite. That setup was a risk to reward of 3.5, so also a good trade. Now, if you're in that trade at 130, now price closed last Friday at 156. So with that entry at 130, you'd currently be 20% in profit. So if you took that trade, well done. You're doing really well. Big question is now, should you move your stop loss up? I think so. I think your stop loss now should be moved up from this level of 115, either to 130, break even, so here, or potentially move it a bit further to this level here of 133. And that stop loss would correspond to this price trough here. I think if price falls down and breaks this low here, the trend is probably going to move down further. So that would be a good option. And a stop loss at 133, 132 is 15% below the current close. So enough wiggle room, I think, for AMD. So AMD is looking bullish. Another opportunity to trade this stock and enter next Monday and target this level here or potentially 227. If you're in the trade, let me know how it's going. Are you in profit? Are you going to move your stop loss? Thanks for watching.